So, I'm back for a recent vinyl finds sort of video, and it's not a recent vinyl find, this is the Brink collection. If you don't know what the Brink collection is, follow this link up here and you get the video that I did. Now, just to sum it up really quickly, I had a dear friend of mine who passed away, and his family asked me if I want to buy some of his record collection. He was a huge record buff just like me, but he was 55 years old, so a little bit older, but still way too young to pass away. So I decided to do these videos and showing his records that now is getting merged with my record collection separately as I go on and listen to them. Okay, so the first one is a pop rock record. I think that they are called The Dream. And the record is called Get Dreamy, 1967 maybe, 68, something like that. I think it's the first group that Terje Rypdal was in from Norway. And the first time I listened to this, when I bought it online from a sort of a collecting friend on Instagram. And I didn't really, it didn't resonate with me. And Lasse listened to it and he really liked it. So he bought it from me. And now I got it back, which is just super weird. And I listened to it now before I filmed this, and yeah, I'm not as thrilled as many others are. I think that this is a sort of clear case of a record that is more hyped and rare when it comes to original press than it's good. But maybe it's a grower, and now it's a part of my collection. Lasse was a huge fan of Madness, so one step beyond. His original copy from back in the day of this was a no-brainer to keep. He played these at work all the time. And I love Madness, but I've had like 5-7 records with Madness in my own collection that I've sold during the years because I always thought that I could listen to it streamed. And I think that One Step Beyond was the last one that I actually sold because I think it's the best one. And every time I hear it, I think of Lasse. Sam Cooke, I remember when he got this and he talked so warmly about it because this is Sam Cooke live at the Harlem Square Club. And it has an energy that is totally different if you compare it to another concert that he did back in the day at this point where he played for a total sort of all white audience. This from the Harlem Square Club has a completely different energy. This is wild, and the sound quality of this is so. I wish it sounded better because it deserves to sound better, but it's okay. Music on Vinyl does a decent job with their pressings, so yeah, deserves better. Definitely a keeper in the collection. And this, I don't think that I'll keep this. I'll try to sell it if anyone buys it after I've done this small review of it. But The Who at Woodstock 1969, this is a bootleg with the concert. It's 2 LPs, 3 sides, so I think that one is etched. And it's numbered, I have number, or Lasse had number 1326. This is awesome. The energy these guys are building up is just fantastic. This is The Who at its best, and I'm not a huge Who fan, but I love the energy that they sort of produce live at Leeds and so forth. Now, but this is almost unlistenable because the sound quality is just so bad that I think that I just turned it off after 4 songs or something like that. It's not, you can't listen to it. Okay, so next 2 records, you have to bear with me now because this is not my sort of genre. I know nothing about the artists, don't know about the music, but it's so much Lasse that I feel that I need to play this from time to time just to remind me of, it will remind me of him. This is the Ska from Jamaica. He listened to a lot of these and he had some Trojan records reissues in his collection, so I guess that it meant a lot to him. So this is a compilation, so Ska from Jamaica, and this also a reissue from Record Store Day 2021. Studio One Soul, the original. Right Around the World, Today's Sound Today. I think this is Jamaican soul music on a compilation. But I don't know more about that. I listened to it and it sounds, I mean, it's typical that Jamaican sound. I have no sort of preference. I don't know anything about it, so I can't really say anything about it. It creates a good vibe, but it's not my genre. The next one was awesome, and this is highly, highly recommended to everyone that likes that sort of garage rock mods kind of thing. I saw this in his collection. He never talked about this, or this band. But the Moderns, it was a southern band from late 70s, early 80s. I think they only released one record, a couple of singles maybe, and this is a compilation. They are sort of a copy of the Jam. That's what they are. There's a hype sticker here with a sort of a recommendation, sort of seal of approval from Dennis Lyxzén from Refused, which I guess draws people into it, and rightfully so. It's awesome, really, really good sort of garage pop kind of music. Yeah, so Lasse was a huge fan of Andreas Wollenweider, and the reason for it, I think, not only because of the music, is because Andreas Wollenweider's sort of way of producing sound and making sound travel, sort of taking sound and making it the best that your equipment can perform. So his records are stuff that you listen to on sort of hi-fi fairs and stuff like that. Picked up all Andreas Wollenweider records that he had in his collection. I had a few myself, and we talked about him a lot, but too much Andreas Wollenweider for me is just like, I can't listen to it too much because it gets too sappy. It's not the right word for it, but yeah, it's a little bit progressive, but on the sort of the light side. This is the last he has made so far, 2020 I think it's from. It's with cello, and he plays the harp, which is awesome. When I came up after listening to this, I went upstairs, and my wife said that it was so beautiful. She sort of heard a little bit of what I played downstairs, and she thought it was so beautiful, and it really is. It's a beautiful, beautiful record, and it will push your equipment to the max. This, I think I have one Humble Pie record, and this is Town and Country. This is an alternate cover. I don't think that it's a bootleg. I think it's an official release, and it even says audiophile quality on this one. I don't know about that, but it sounded really good. Steve Merritt, yeah, but this is awesome. There was not a bad track on this, and I'm going to dive deeper into Humble Pie. Humble Pie, I haven't really listened to them, and I know that Lasse wasn't a big fan of them. He only had this, so I think that he bought this on a sale or something like that, so it was very cheap, and with the sort of the audiophile quality stamp, I think that was the thing that drew him in. But it's awesome, like ordinary rock and roll. Cheers. Maybe I've shown this before, but if I did, bear with me, because this is my favorite Clash record. I love London Calling, but give him enough rope. This is my to-go-to Clash record, and I was so glad that, because I had Sandinista and I had London Calling, and I swapped them for Lasse's copies, and I was so pleased that he had this also, because I've sold my copy many moons ago, and I've never found a replacement copy, so I've listened to it online. So having Lasse's copy now is just awesome. My favorite Clash. Not a bad second on this, in my opinion. This is a masterpiece from start to finish. So 1974. Look out, all you jazz heads, because this is one of those records that I don't think that Lasse knew that he owned, because this is not music that Lasse listened to. And I had no idea. I knew that if he knew about this, and he know me, he would talk about this, trying to sell it to me, or at least we would have listened to it at some point when we had our listening sessions. But yeah, I'm so glad that I can finally add this to the collection. Thank you so much, Lasse. This is an original press of Henry Franklin's The Skippers at Home from 1974 on Black Jazz. I shouldn't say a masterpiece. I use that too lightly, but it's a really good, soulful, almost free jazz record. This is awesome. I've played it twice now, and I have to play it. I have to play it a few times more to really digest the record, but it's going to be one of my favorite sort of finds this year, or whatever you call this sort of installment. I don't consider these finds because I still consider them to be Lasse's records. I'm just borrowing them. It feels like that anyway. I'm adding them to my collection, but they will still be Lasse's records, if you know what I mean. Records that I have added to my collection this year. The Henry Franklin is definitely one of the best sort of ones. This was pretty cool because I have an original press of this. I've had several copies of this, and I've always given them away to international VC sort of friends. So I know that you are a few out there that has gotten a copy of this from me, because I want to spread this now. Back in the day, like 10 years ago, you could buy this. You didn't have to pay more than $1, $2, $3 maybe for a really good copy of this. Nowadays, they are more expensive. It's still, an original press of this is still cheap if you consider what it is, and for the music sort of value on it. But they did a reissue of this, and Lasse had it in his collection. So I have been able to compare this to an original press. This is Jazz på Svenska with Jan Johansson. Swedish folk songs. It's Jan Johansson and Georg Riedel, just bass and piano. They recorded this in a pretty big sort of hall that was used for I think soundstage for movies. So a piano and a bass in this kind of open space, so you get a pretty airy sort of sound to it that is iconic, and with the folk music that he interprets on this, it's just fantastic. Now, how does this hold up to the original press? Well, this sounds good. It does. It sounds good, but it's nothing. It holds nothing to the original press. Like, if you find a VG++ copy or better with Jazz på Svenska, don't even consider buying this. Buy that. I don't think that you have to pay much more than the reissue price for an original press, and we talk about a record that was released 1960 somewhere. These are remastered from session tapes 2005, so I don't know if it's digitally remastered, and maybe that has something to do with the sort of the sound, but it's way more compressed. You don't have the big sort of sound stage. The 3D sort of sound is it's not as big. It's not as detailed. Still sounds okay. It's not like the MP3 or the Spotify. It's not that bad, but it's still like you can't really compare the two because the original wins. And the last one that he talked about, we listened to this on session. I really loved it. I added it to my want list right away, and I've listened to this 3 times now because it's sort of it's a cool one to just put on and go about your day, having a little bit in the background. This is Christy at the Point live. I think his name is Christy Moore. This was recorded in, I think, the 90s. 94. It was reissued 2017 on Sony Music. And the original press of this is really expensive because it's from 1994. But Christy, this is so like an Irish folk singer, story singer, and he talks before the tunes and afterwards, and he shares his stories and the people surrounding him and stuff like that. It's really entertaining, and it's just like one big concert, one big piece. You don't jump in the different tunes. And he does a cover of Christmas Fairy Tale of New York. Just him on an acoustic guitar, and he sort of builds up the story with his own story just before he starts playing. And it's wonderful. Fantastic sort of cover of it that has nothing to do with Christmas. It's just great music, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's it. That's the stuff that I've listened to from the Brink collection, and I have a ton more from the Brink collection that I'm going to show you when I've listened to them. So thank you so much for watching. Please give me comments down below or questions and stuff like that, and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.